Hello folks, this is the new BMW iX3, the first of BMW's new class. You may have seen that concept vehicle, or the concept vehicles, that have been kicking around for a couple of years now, but this is the first time I've had the chance to drive a finished production vehicle in the UK. And the new class really is signalling a new era for BMW. It's a new design language, sort of ground up redesign of things like their EV drivetrain, and this really does push things forward a little bit. But it's not just going to be limited to EVs. This new class will follow through into ICE cars, hybrid cars, plug-in hybrids, etc. as well. Now, pricing on these, you're looking between about 57.5 grand up to about 62.5 grand. Being a BMW, obviously there are also lots of option boxes you can tick if you so desire. But the general consensus about the other people at the launch event today is that it's a wee bit cheaper than we thought it might be. It's actually £7,000 cheaper than the car it replaces. But of course, you should also check out the link for leasing.com that's popping up on the screen for you as a QR code. It's also in the video description and pinned as the top comment. Now, as well as this being based on 800 volt architecture, BMW are using new batteries on this, and they're more energy dense, 25% more energy dense than in their Gen 5 EVs in actual fact. And that helps them cram as many miles into those batteries as possible. They've also mounted that battery pack much lower in the car to hopefully give you a lower centre of gravity and a bit more floor room, like foot space, etc., and give you probably a bit more of a natural driving position than you get in some EVs, where the floor feels a little bit elevated. 463 horsepower with a 0 to 62 time of 4.9 seconds. Top speed's limited to about 130 miles an hour. And as for the rapid charging, they claim you can get 231 miles into this in 10 minutes. And that's a car that already starts off with a claimed 500 miles of range. So range anxiety really should be a bit of a thing of the past with this. As for that charging, it starts off with 11 kilowatts charging as standard. So you find on a normal wall box, but there's a little bit of headroom there. If you're lucky enough to have a three-phase supply at home and maybe a 22 kilowatt charger, there is an option to upgrade to 22 kilowatt charging. But the rapid charging's 400 kilowatts. Folks, it's not often when I'm talking about a car's interior that I have to refer to my notes, but I'm going to have to in here because there's just so much to go through. We've got the latest and greatest version of iDrive here, which now features this absolutely epic panoramic display, kind of like a head-up display, but it's projected just underneath the windscreen. It's got a nice 3D effect to it, and it's completely customizable. So there are loads of different widgets. You go into the iDrive screen here, and you can change the placement and display of all kinds of different things. The great thing about that is you can have exactly what you want, exactly where you want it, and you don't have to keep taking your eyes too far off the road to find all this important and useful information. It's incredible in practice. I'll talk about it more in the test drive segment, but it just works so well. And the voice assistant's great, although it kicks in whenever you say the name of the manufacturer, so I need to make sure I don't do that too often. And this huge display is a triumph. Your aircon controls are now all based on there, although, as I said, the voice assistant's very good. And you've got lots of different apps. So much of this is customizable. You can just go further and further into it. This is just a launch event today. I haven't got the car for a week or anything, so I'm not going to dive into that right now, just simply because I don't have time. Needless to say, if you want this to do something, it probably can. Wireless phone charger down here with a couple of USB-Cs, a couple of cup holders, and then your gear selector, drive selector is down here, and your rear and front demist. Little cubby here, and then this very funky little steering wheel. It is very square, this one, and it looks like it joins in the middle, but it doesn't. There's actually a bit of a gap there. It's got really nice little thumb rests, and it still feels chunky, as you would expect on a BMW. But it has got a different look and feel. I've just said the manufacturer's name again, which is not good because I keep setting off the voice assistant. But I like it. I'm sure there are some people out there that won't, because it is quite small, but I think it's great. On the door card, we've got some seat controls, but the first thing you notice about this cabin is there's a real lack of physical buttons. They have gone very digital with this, but largely it works. Where you will still find some buttons, or at least you think they're buttons, are on this epic little steering wheel. These are haptics, but the kind of feedback they've got makes them feel just like real buttons. And they are dynamic. So some of them on this side of the wheel, they will change depending on what you're doing. So for example, now I've got a parking function on there. When you're on the road, you will just see kind of cruise control controls on here. So that's all very cool and new. They've got a nice textured cloth material up here, some squidgy stuff up here, and it's only really the door cards that feel a bit pants, and only the bottom half of them. So the door pockets, to be precise. They have used lots of sustainable materials with this car. In fact, 30% of it is sort of secondary use first, if you like. So materials that are already in their second use. And they say that this car, people often talk about EVs not being sustainable, not being green, the carbon footprint being terrible. And because of all that work to find sustainable materials and recycled materials and make sure the car can be recycled itself, they say the CO2 break-even point on this car versus an ICE car is a year. Just think about that for everyone that's a bit of a naysayer on the old eco-credential thing. A year of normal use, and it's a break-even point with a car with an engine in it. That's pretty impressive. Now, the car I'm in today doesn't have a head-up display. I don't personally think you necessarily need it because that panoramic display is so good and it feels a bit like a head-up display. But people that have used it today are telling me it's pretty magnificent, and again, feels different, and again, feels like it's moving the game forward a little bit. Just a whistle-stop tour of this really, folks, but it is incredible in here. The car can do over-the-air updates. There have been big improvements to the app. I've seen a remote parking function in this car. I've actually had a demonstration and tried out the park assist thing, and not only is it quick, it seems incredibly good, like really impressively good. I must admit, those automatic parking things I've used in the past tend to take so long to actually arm that you don't bother using them. This takes a couple of seconds and it will get you into a space more efficiently than you could do yourself. The space we tried earlier, I'd have probably, on a parallel park, I'd have probably come in and out about 3 or 4 times to get into the final position. This did it once. And just certain things, like you can't see where that front corner of the car is particularly well. Obviously the car can, it's covered in cameras, and if you just let it do its thing, it does not disappoint. Also, if you're parked in a tight space, you know, pulling it out with the app, just pulling the car out so you can get into it, it can do that. It can even, whilst you're doing that, maneuver itself around a bollard. And if you stand in front of the car or someone walks in front of it or behind it, it will just stop. It won't run anyone over. And that's always useful, isn't it? This car is absolutely laden with tech, but they've done it all in like a quality of life way. It doesn't feel like they've thrown tech at it for no reason. They've thrown tech at it where it makes sense and where it's actually going to improve your quality of life whilst using the car. In the back here, it's also a bit of a triumph. There's no glass roof in this car that I've got today, but we've got tons of leg room. I mean, like that much leg room. I'm not the tallest bloke in the world. I'm sort of 5'9½", but that much leg room. And as for headroom, you'd be absolutely fine in here at 6 foot, 6'1", something like that, I dare say. I can only dream, unfortunately. We've got a nice big squishy armrest with a couple of cup holders, 2 USB-Cs down there, and some nice materials up here, and just not the best door bins again. It's just a really nice, comfortable rear row. This is 40-20-40 split as well, so you can bring long items through the car. Good job. Whilst boot space on the new iX3 is not class leading, it's certainly quite competitive. You've got 520 litres of boot space with the back row of seats up and 1750 with them down, and those back row of seats are in a 40-20-40 configuration. It's just a couple of litres less than you'd get in something like the Audi Q6 e-tron, although it's significantly less than the claimed figures in the Tesla Model Y in both the front and rear load compartments. I've driven this car an awful lot today, and this is the second time I've filmed my driving impressions because I want to try and give you something worthwhile rather than something where I'm just being a giddy little schoolboy, but it's really difficult because this is just such an amazing car to drive. I must admit, I drove up to this event this morning having been looking forward to these new class BMWs for quite some time, and I was sort of thinking, oh, I really hope I'm not let down. I hope I'm not disappointed, because often when I really look forward to a car, it doesn't match my expectations. And sometimes it's those cars where I go into just thinking, meh, that really surprise and really impress. I shouldn't have worried, because this is an exceptional car to drive, and it does have a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde quality to it. So in comfort mode, your eco modes, it's very pleasant. You know, the suspension's nice and cosseting, but it's not woolly in any way. It soaks up the worst of the bumps reasonably well. I did a little motorway stretch first thing this morning, and it's absolutely incredible on the motorway. It floats along the road. You've got this amazingly smooth delivery of power. Even for an EV, it's so smooth. It's the smoothest power delivery I think I've ever encountered. That changes when you put it into sport, by the way. It becomes a much more immediate and eager. But in your standard modes, you know, it's very, very smooth delivery. And on the motorway, it just makes for an incredibly comfortable, quiet, relaxing drive. It's got great forward visibility as well. In fact, really good visibility all round. Although on the rear quarters, you've obviously got some fairly chunky pillars, but the cameras and everything are absolutely fine when it comes to reversing. But normal driving, visibility is great. The driving position's great. The steering wheel controls make sense, and they're quite easy to fathom. You know, there's not a crazy steep learning curve with this car. Even in comfort mode, the steering is reasonably responsive. If you go into sport modes, everything tightens up. It just gets a bit and ready to go. But even in those comfort modes, it's just a lovely thing to drive. And I think an owner of this car will spend most of the time in the comfort modes. When you go into sports mode and get down some sort of windy A roads and B roads, which I have done today, there's no holding back with it either. You know, it does feel like a little bit of a sleeper. When you look at the car, it doesn't necessarily look like a performance car, but that 0 to 62 time is not to be sniffed at. Neither is its overtaking prowess, because if you want to get past something a little bit quickly, you don't even really need to ask. You just progress, and it's as simple as that. It really is great. The brake feels good as well. They're very good at stopping you, the brakes, but I don't feel like they're grabby. I am, however, very used to EV driving, and I've had a lot of EVs lately. So if you're coming from a petrol car, for example, you might find the brakes a little bit sharp initially, but trust me, that goes away very, very quickly. On the brake in front, it's also got something called a soft stop, and it's quite bizarre. But when you pull up to stop, you obviously slow down, you go to stop. And what you might not realize is when you stop, there's always a slight bit of that, even if you stop as softly as you possibly can. With this, if you have it in the right kind of regen mode, you come to a stop, and it's a weird thing. It's so soft, you don't feel like you've actually stopped, which is quite bizarre. You have to almost reprogram your brain a little bit. But the level of detail that's gone into something like that to give you a more pleasant experience, I think just shows how many hours have gone into the R&D and the development of this car to come up with something that really does move the game on a bit. I mean, that charging speed, that WLTP range, and this driving experience all go together to push the game forward. They really do push things on. I feel like this car is going to be such an important sort of cornerstone of where EVs go and where they're heading, because it is that radically better than a lot of cars that have come before, and some of them from premium German brands, I have to say. Folks, I'm not the biggest SUV fan in the world. My knees are becoming more of an SUV fan because they're a little bit broken, and you get a great driving position. It's got all the practicality in the world. It's got a great turn of pace to it. So this could be the SUV that changes me forever, because I absolutely love this car. It's got bags of range. It's got bags of tech, but tech that really makes sense. Quality of life tech. Things that just work. As I'm talking here, you know, this sat nav thing's just popped up in front of me over here because there's a turn to make. While I didn't need that, it'd gone away for a little bit. And everything about this car has thought that's gone into it. This needed to be a very special car for BMW. Yeah, and it's going to now.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Okay, thanks. It needed to be a very special car for the German brand that I'm not going to mention the name of again. And my word, it is a special car. Folks, the only thing I can fault on this car is the quality of the door bins. If that's the only problem you can find with a car, you know you're onto a bit of a winner. This has absolutely blown me away, and it's a car that I already had really high expectations for. And often when that happens, you know, a car will disappoint in some area. This just hasn't. It's brilliant. This is a similar price to a Tesla Model Y Performance. It's got a WLTP figure of almost 500 miles. It can charge ultra rapidly. It's now got a very decent app. It's got a wonderful infotainment system and this panoramic display. It's a glorious thing to drive, whether you're cruising down the motorway or getting a little bit of action in the B roads. And I think it's a vastly improved looking car. I think it's now an interesting car. Somehow it still feels BMW. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to have a problem with the way it looks, because people get very emotive about the way BMWs look. But I think it's a big improvement. And I can't wait to see more of this new class, because it really does excite me massively. Please give the video a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to go and check out leasing.com. If you scan the QR code that's popping up on your screen with your phone, it will take you directly to leasing.com. It will tell them that I've sent you, which helps support the channel. And you'll get the latest prices on these and many other cars if you click the link in the video description, which is also pinned as a top comment, or scan that QR code. Thanks ever so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Huge thanks to all my channel members for your continued support. I really do appreciate it.